So we still have a little fallout from the old flag planting situation here at the shoe, because we came in this morning and apparently there is an Ohio politician that is proposing a law that would make it illegal to plant a flag at midfield here at Ohio State. So this is something that to me has gone a little too far, but according to this politician, this would be introduced as the OHIO Sportsmanship Act. And so the new law would make it a felony to plant a flag at midfield at Ohio Stadium. And so here is how the bill reads. Quote, no person shall plant a flagpole with a flag attached to it in the center of the football field at Ohio State Stadium of the Ohio State University on the day of a college football competition, whether before, during, or after the competition. Whoever violates this section is guilty of a felony of the 5th degree. And for those asking for more details, because that's where my mind went, according to Ohio.gov, Big Show, a 5th degree felony comes with a prison sentence of 6 to 12 months. And according to this Ohio-based law firm's website, there could also be a fine up to $2,500. Where do you want to go with this, my friend?
So let me start off by saying I don't like the flag planting. I think it's disrespectful. I think only problems can come from it. I don't like anything that gets away, and I know you like the trash talk, and I don't mind trash talk, and you like, the bat flips, and you like that showmanship of sports. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying all that stuff is disrespectful. I like when there is a respect in sports. I like it when you pick the other guy up off the ground. You see fighters in the UFC hug afterwards. I like the respect in that part of sports. I don't love the flag planting. You know how you stop them from flag planting?
Beat them.
You beat them. Mm-hmm. And you beat them so bad that they don't want to come back anymore. That's how you stop the flag planting. How pretentious is this? And, oh, look at us. We're more important than everyone. If you want to ban it everywhere, okay, let's do that. But you're just banning it in your stadium, on your field. Get the heck out of here. And also, Maddie, can we get government out of sports? Like, don't they have enough other things to worry about? They don't need to worry about what goes on inside the shoe.
Yeah, you would think. You would think. Here's where I'm at with this. I am out on this. To me, this is way too heavy of a situation when we're talking about flag planting. It's not that serious to me, but I'm going the complete opposite way with this. I actually think now we need to turn this into a tradition for the road team if they do win the game.
Oh, gosh.
And that is, let's actually make this a thing and flag plant. Now, I think if we're going to go down that road, in my crazy mind right now, let's make sure the other team's off the field. Because I think that would clean up a bit of the emotion, because that's what happened a few weeks ago. The guys are out there doing Carmen, Ohio. They turn around, they see what Michigan's trying to do. That's never going to fly. But I actually think it could be a pretty cool visual if you are the opposing team and you go in there after the game, there are the teams in the locker room, and you plant your flag there. So I actually want to go the other way, because I think there's something there that could add more to this rivalry and not go down the road of what we saw. I do love pettiness. I love trash talk. I like all that. But what happened after the game here a couple weeks ago, that went way too far. Because like I said, when I was doing the show with AR, you're getting people involved that don't probably know how to protect themselves against guys that are that size, whether it's people in media or whoever, family members, whoever it may be down there. That was just way too much. But I do think there could be more added to this rivalry and tradition by saying, hey, if you're the opposing squad, whether it's here at the shoe, up there in the big house, those guys are off the field. You go out there, you plant your flag, you take a nice picture. I'm in on that, actually.
This is what I'll say about what you just said. You know how you protect yourself? Get the hell out the way. You don't need to worry about your TikTok stream or whatever you're posting on social media. You don't want to get hurt. Get the hell out the way.
Well, some may say those TikTok streams pay some bills because there's some people out here on TikTok that are making a lot of money.
Then you're making a decision. You're making a business decision at that point. And if you get hurt in the fray, that's on you.
I think if my mama or my auntie are out there and they're just celebrating the win with us or whatever it may be, I'm not putting it on them to protect themselves against men that are 6'5", 300 pounds. I can't put it on them. I can't. But I do think that we don't need to completely abolish flag planting and wiping this away. The reason why we're at this point is because not only did it happen here at the shoe, it happened at a few other spots the same day. So now I think we're overreacting a little too much to something that I actually think could be a pretty cool bit within these rivalries.
The other thing with this is the flag planting even cool anymore? Like you said, because maybe the first time it happened, it was cool, but everybody does it now. So it's not really cool anymore.
It's only special if it's a once a year type of thing. Once a year for these type of games. Then I think it holds some weight year in and year out. If this is something, to your point, where we see it every other week or once a month or whatever it may be, then it loses some sizzle to it. You do this at the end of November, once a year, every year for the opposing team, to me, that adds to what is already a tremendous rivalry.
I just hope this representative, whoever this is, Josh Williams up in Northern Ohio, I hope like all the potholes are fixed in his jurisdiction and all the parks are clean and there's no trash on the streets. I hope he's got his house in order so he can go ahead and do stuff like this.
I hear you, man. I absolutely hear you.
The best of Rothman and Ice.
Great announcing crews add a lot to a game. We know that. Sometimes you can't even, define it really. It's a feel. It was a feel when I was a kid with Madden and Summerall, and it certainly is a feel now with certain groups. And we now are in a world where if you don't like something, you have a way to get it out there. And so maybe people didn't like John Madden back then, and if they had Twitter back then or a way to voice it, maybe they would. Maybe they would think all of his shtick was stupid and his booms and all his sound effects. I guarantee he would have gotten a lot of heat for that, and he would have gotten a lot of praise for it. But when you're in an era prior to what the era we are in, you get universal praise because there's some romance to who you were back then. And now with Greg Olsen and Fox, and I do feel like there is a lot of praise for Olsen. Maybe it's because he wasn't the biggest household name. He does his homework. He's got kind of a folksy feel on the air. Nobody loves everything I say or you say or anybody says, right? There's no such thing as universal love. But I think with Tom Brady getting ready to bump him out of the chair, I think he's got some sympathy going for him now with the fan base because Tom is not universally loved. Plus, we don't even know what kind of analyst Tom is going to be because sometimes the guys who are the best don't need to work very hard, and it shows. And so I've taken up with some things that Greg Olsen has said recently with his Mike McCarthy, just you can't fire the guy because somebody else might hire him. That's completely flawed logic. And then he said on the broadcast in the Lions game that you can't judge Dan Campbell based on just results. BS. Of course I can. It's situational football. Not every situation is the same. I know that, yes, he went for the field goal early in the first half to go up 17 right at the end on the 4th and goal at the 3. Well, the field's shorter. Maybe it's tougher to convert there. And he kicked the field goal. Guess what he should have done? He should have kicked it again. It's my opinion. Man, 50% are on the other side. But I asked you before the show, what's your anticipation of Tom Brady as an analyst right now?
I don't know how good he's going to be, AR, but I do know, based off of his history as a quarterback, how serious he's going to take the job. And I would be very surprised if Tom had just been sitting back this entire season and not doing dry runs, dress rehearsals of calling games, because I've heard that as well. I remember the story that came out when Troy and Joe went over to ESPN, and while those guys have worked obviously for years and years together at Fox, they did dry runs on ESPN even when they weren't actually on TV calling games because they wanted to get used to the style of ESPN and knowing the different cameras and all of those little finite details that go into broadcast that maybe us as fans don't think about all the time. So I think Tom has been dedicated to the craft. I don't know how good he'll be. I think he's got a decent sense of humor. We know he knows the game. All these guys know the game. And it's always interesting, I think, to pick the brains from the quarterback perspective. We get caught up so much in the NFL and this quarterback versus that quarterback. And a lot of how we view the game is through the lens of quarterback play, because that is what drives the sport narrative-wise when we have all these debates and all of that. It's always wrapped around the quarterback. So I'm on board with this. The elephant in the room is the business side of this. And while I do feel bad for Greg Olsen because I think he's gotten better and did a good job this year, the big deal here is 10 years for $375 million. And Fox was not going to stand by and just allow that money to just be wasted or put Tom Brady on the B team or whatever it's going to be because of the money that they're paying this man, and I understand it. To me, I think the job that they're in, specifically color analysts, it's a bit of a thankless job because you can always poke holes in what these guys say, and one thing could rub you wrong, and especially when we're in the social media era,
right,
to where you can clip something and that clip goes viral and it lives on for years and years and years, and people think that that's who those guys are as broadcasters. So to answer your question, I don't know how good he'll be, but I do think because of his experience on the field and how much I think Tom Brady goes all in with everything that he does, he's going to be pretty good at it.
So I agree with everything you said, especially in this social media world, because I come from a world where the guy that should have been the guy at this was Joe Montana. For the same reason you just said Brady, all right? Joe Montana lasted 9 games for NBC. Yeah. Like, done. I'm out. Can't do this. Some guys just don't have a knack for broadcasting. They're very good. Think about his resume. Intellectual background, graduated Notre Dame. NFL pedigree, 4-time Super Bowl champ.